Well, hi everyone. This is the broad agenda that we have for today. So, I wanted to introduce you to the concept of marketing analytics, uh, followed it up by the popular digital marketing channel and metrics. Then we'll also look into some of the buzzwords which are related to marketing analytics, which is CLTV, customer lifetime value. In the end, I'll just close it off with the future of marketing technology, SMARTIC, as it is commonly called. And then we'll have final few minutes for questions. I would request all of you to keep your questions in the end, um, so that we can take all of them together and would not want to interrupt the session in between. Well, now let's dive into it. Before we go, one request: if you guys can, you guys have registered for this session, so it would be good if you guys can just focus on this session for the next 1 hour and stay away from all these social media, WhatsApp, Gmails. You guys can go back and check them out later. But let's ensure that we have all our attention on the topic that we have at our discussion. Now, any guesses on what these numbers are? What the marketing landscape, let's say in the last 1 year? Or what do you think are is the percentage of marketers who says that their information is siloed? Any guesses on these numbers? Sudhanshu, are we getting any responses here?
Yeah, we haven't got any in the chat box. Uh,
So at least the first number that I'm mentioning here, it was also in my
Promotional video.
promotional video, the first promotional video that I've ever shot. So people who went and registered for this session, I think I had this number there.
Yeah, 15%, 40%. That's the guess that people are putting forward. 50,
Hmm.
yes.
So these are the numbers. So the marketing technology landscape has actually grown by more than 5,000% over the last 9 years, right? The number of solutions has actually grown by 14% since 2019. So in the last 1 year, it has grown by 14%. And one of the chief Martech founder, which is Scott Brinker, he mentioned that 1 in 5 of the solution in this year's Martech's landscape, Martech weren't there last year. So what I want to say is that data is leading the way. It's the fastest growing category of technology. Marketers and brands are seeking more innovation in this category as they move simply from gathering data to utilizing it and then making it more actionable. Now, the problem is, even though it's growing at a fast pace, and although marketers have an abundance of data at their fingertips, new research suggests that they're still having trouble leveraging it and integrating it into their strategies. Right. So, as per the latest report that I studied, 47% of marketers stated that their information is siloed and it is difficult to access. Now, this makes it challenging to get an accurate and integrated view of the customer journey. Now, if you look at the last number, which is 4 in 5 organizations have low adoption towards analytics and BI. This is really a sad state. So, the most important and probably the most actionable piece of advice I can give you today is to empower and experiment. So, if you do not have an organization today wherein wherein people can access data, they can access different tools, they know how to use those tools, then the most important thing that you can do, if you're in the field of marketing, is to provide
Aisha,
them access. Can we guys all go on mute?
Yes, Ishan. There are slight issues, but I'm taking care of it. So it has been sorted now. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I was just saying that as a marketing professional, the most important thing that you can do is uh, to provide your team access, training, education on how to take or how to make data-driven marketing as a part of your DNA. So that every single marketer in your organization, be it a designer, be it a coder, be it someone who is a marketing analyst, when they ask a question, they go first to data and then they balance it with empathy and creativity, so that they can arrive at a right kind of conclusion. Right. So, what is analytics? Now, if I have to go for technical definition, it is defined as the extensive use of data, statistical, quantitative analysis, predictive models. I know it all sounds very complicated, but in simple terms, it is the analysis of large volumes of data, wherein your intention is to discover meaningful patterns, rules, and draw hidden insights to aid decision making. Now, how does it help? Let's take the most common example that we see on a daily basis. So if you go to your email box, and this is a screenshot from my mailbox, and you can see that these promotional ads that pop up here. So I see ads around digital marketing. I see ads from Airtel, and probably this is because they've scanned my data. They know I'm someone who is into this digital marketing analytics field, who keeps on reading about it, who has subscribed to different newsletters around it. So that's the reason they're displaying me this ad. And second, I'm also an Airtel customer. So possibly they're asking me to switch to their premium plan from whatever plan I have today. Right. So this is one part of analytics wherein they're pushing marketing campaigns based on what I do. And the other piece of analytics that you can also see here is a clear segregation of inbox. So if you see at Gmail, it clearly segregates between your primary, social, and promotions. And all of this happened through the use of analytics. So what are the different popular marketing channels? Any guesses? Like popular digital marketing channels, let's say. Now, what do you think are the most popular marketing channels?
Social media is the response. Email, Google, social media. Yeah, usually these three answers we have got.
I see a lot of people around social media. What else? When you say Google, like what is Google?
That's search engines.
Search engines. How about other mediums?
Advertising, email, pay-per-click ads. There is word of mouth, publishers, digital banners, cookie targeted ads. Yeah, so we're getting other options. Yes.
So these are broadly the options that we have today. So what is a marketing channel? A marketing channel can mean any method or platform that is used to market a product or a service to a consumer. The primary goal is to turn over the ownership of the product or services from production to consumption, or in simple terms, if I have to say, taking your product to a consumer. And then different channels like the one I have displayed here can help you in achieving those kind of objectives. Right? So you have in social, you have different options. You have Instagram, you have Facebook, you have Twitter, you have Pinterest, you have blogs, and then you also have SEO and content. And I know someone mentioned PPC or Google. So you have search engine marketing. You have display ads within Google. You have shopping ads, and then you have YouTube video. And then there are also the other offline advertising channels that you have, be it your print, radio, TV ads, PR events, direct sales, etc. So let's try to understand some of the most important metrics associated with these digital channels. So digital marketing KPIs, or key performance indicators, are quantifiable goals which helps you to track and measure success. Now, in a challenging environment such as the ones that we are living in, which is a global pandemic-led recession, it's most important to plan your short-term and long-term KPIs. I would say KPIs are a useful way for digital marketers to set expectations and prove that their work is having a positive impact. To outsiders, the success of digital marketing activity can be seen as difficult to measure, but that really is not the case. In fact, it's normally easier to measure progress for a digital campaign than an offline one. And that's one of the major reasons why people have been switching to digital campaigns. The most important part of setting a KPI is choosing what you measure. Now, you really don't want to go wrong at this stage, but I mean, you can't go wrong at this stage in terms of choosing your KPI. So how you can do it? You just need to make sure that you measure factors that will have an impact on your organizational goals or targets. So when we go into the live sessions, I'll also help you in understanding how do you translate a business objective to a marketing objective, and then how do you translate that marketing objective to a campaign level objective. Now, often KPIs are connected to a conversion. During a recession, conversions are more important than ever, as this could mean difference between meeting your objectives or facing financial difficulty later down the line. So as a general rule, conversions should be specific, right? And it should be easily to define and measure. So it could be either someone is making a purchase on your website or someone is filling a form on your website, but you should be clear on what you are trying to measure. So what should you measure? You should be able to measure quantifiable metrics which align with the goals of your organization. These will often be sales or leads. If you work for a startup, it might be too soon to measure leads, but you can always measure reach and engagement. Then there are leading indicators, right? So what are leading indicators? A leading indicator is used by economists to give an indication of which way the economy is headed. A leading indicator is useful for reporting, but it particularly is important during these times as it can show that your time and effort is starting to have an impact. For example, you might measure how many people have spent over 3 minutes on your website, even if they haven't filled in the contact form. What you should not measure is the things that you cannot have an impact on. So if you can't change it, there is no point of it being a KPI. Now here I have called out some channel specific KPIs. Now some KPIs should be channel specific and others will relate to your overall business goals. Many organizations will need KPIs of both types in order to measure both channel performance and the impact this then has on your overall goal. In larger organizations, different individuals or different teams will run their own individual channel. So each should be measured separately. In smaller organization or smaller teams, this will be divided up. Like that works for your marketing mix. Now, it's notable that during a recession, let's say in current times, some parts of your marketing mix may receive more attention than others. So it's worth planning your priorities in that case. So the chart that I have here, it shows examples of KPIs and leading indicators for 5 typical digital marketing channels. These are the most popular ones. You have social, SEO, PPC, email, and referrals. I have based these on an e-commerce website. So they focus on conversions and revenue as the primary KPI. Now it's important to note that the channels don't all have the same primary KPI. This is because in this example, not all channels are likely to have a direct impact on revenue or conversions. For example, it might be unrealistic to expect social media to have a direct impact on revenue, depending on what you're offering. Therefore, the primary KPI for social media might be a reach. So you can see in the above, so in this example, I mean, the primary KPI for PPC, as you can see here, is cost per acquisition rather than revenue, as revenue would only give us a part of the picture. Any big changes in PPC budget would have significant impact on revenue, but this wouldn't be an indication that PPC activity is going well necessarily. It's better to measure cost per acquisition as this takes budget changes out of the calculation. Now let's look at another interesting calculation now that you guys, so I thought I'll just quickly walk you through how these metrics are calculated. So let's say you have something called as an impressions. Now impressions is the number of people that have seen your ad. So anytime you search, let's say on a Google, and then let's say you're searching for buy red shoes and then you saw an ad, the number of times you see that ad is called as an impressions. Let's say in this example, this ad was viewed 1 lakh times. Then you have something called as clicks. Now clicks is the number of people that have clicked on that ad and then came to your website. Then you have something called as CTR, which is click-through rate. It is the number of clicks divided by the number of impressions. So let's say if these are the number of impressions that you have got, and this is the CTR, which is 1%, then 1% of these number of impressions is your clicks, which in this case is 10,000. Then you have something called as an average CPC, which is average cost per click. This is the amount that you spend on one single click, which is essentially the amount that you're spending on driving that one visit to your website. So in this case, let's say it was 0.25 rupees. Then you have something called as in conversion rate. So conversion rate is the number of conversions divided by clicks. Okay, or in simple terms, it is the percentage of people that clicked your ad and then converted. So depending on the goal that you have set up in your analytics platform, it could be Google Analytics or any other platform. A conversion is simply a user completing your goal, right? So based on the type of business you have, it could be someone made a call to your business, someone filled a form on your website, or someone made a purchase on your website. Now, once you're done with this, we have CPC into clicks can give you the total amount of spend that you did on your advertising, right? And then you have something called as cost per conversion or cost per acquisition, CPA. It is the actual cost that you're paying to get that one particular conversion. To calculate your cost per conversion, you need to divide the number of conversions, which is the acquisitions in this case 100, divided by 25,000. Sorry, it is reverse. It is cost divided by the acquisition. So you have 25 is your CPA. Now moving on, I have these images, and this is now I'm moving into a marketing analytics territory. What do you think these images signify, or what do you understand from these images?
Conversion or remarketing, qualification,
What else?
sales funnel, where you're moving, say, possibly cold leads to slightly warmer leads.
Interesting. That could be one interpretation. But does anything from the right hand side give you any direction?
There is also a bounce rate, the option that is there. If you
Could
don't
be.
get data driven, then you become outdated. So that is one thing that has come.
Interesting.
And then there is churn that happens. These are the blue ocean having a USP. Okay.
Mhm. Who mentioned churn?
Churn, Mr. Sriram.
So thanks, Sriram. I mean, you're spot on here. What I wanted to signify here is the churn. So on the right hand side, I put that image out very clearly in order so that people can understand that we're talking about churn or attrition here. Now, churn could be for a company, it could be an employee churn or an employee attrition. What you're saying is, what I'm talking about is a customer churn. And the reason I brought up this topic now is because I want to briefly touch upon one important concept in marketing analytics, which we call as customer lifetime value. Now, we can go into the details of this topic. It is quite complicated, but I want to just give you an idea on what it is and then why is it important. Now, customer lifetime values definition, I mean, in literal terms, it is the sum of total value that a customer generates for you in the entire relationship with you, right? So with this, you'll have a better understanding of how much you should be investing in customer retention going forward. Now, not only that, but customer lifetime value clues you into whether or not you can expect certain customers to become repeat customers. So if their customer lifetime value is high, chances are they are fans of your brand and will continue to buy more of your products. If not, they are likely just a passive customer who made let's say a one time or a two time purchase and will take extra efforts to re-engage. So why is this important? Now, every customer that you acquire for your business has a cost attached to it. It's called as customer acquisition cost. Now, it could be the cost of PPC ad that you ran or the cost of promoted posts on your favorite channel. I saw social media was one of the most popular channel that you guys mentioned, or even the cost of creating interesting content for a direct lead. Now, this is what, like I said, we call customer acquisition cost. So customer lifetime value helps you justify this cost for every channel. So let me illustrate this process through an example. So consider this sample chart that you have on your screen here. Now, having the A quick glance here suggests that customers acquired through affiliate, right, or the referral, which is this blue side of this chart, it takes up much of your marketing budget. Now, should you discard this channel and focus on social media? What do you think? Now, when considered in solitude, this decision seems the rational one to make, saying that okay, we are spending so much on customer acquisition cost, on referral. Let's move on to some other channels. However, if you add the LTV data into the equation, which is customer lifetime value, what if I tell you that the customers whom you acquired through this referral or affiliate channel stay with you the longest, and hence they provide you with the highest revenue per user? Then I'm sure your approach would change. In fact, this is something that we also observed when we were working with one of the clients. They always came back saying that we get more leads through referrals, we get more conversions through referrals. The PPC ads are not doing that great. But when we looked into the entire LTV cycle, we figured out that they actually get customers. The customers that they get from affiliate or referral do not stay with them for so long. So even if they're getting high volumes, those customers are not very loyal customers. And that's when we were able to push them to start investing in other channels as compared to their affiliates or referrals. Now let's take an example. Let's say you're a shoe store owner and you have two kind of customers. So one is a marathon runner, and the other is a woman with a toddler. So who do you think this store owner should value more? Is it the marathon runner or this woman with a toddler? Now, we cannot answer this question without understanding how CLTV is calculated. So we can use customer lifetime value in order to understand who is the most valuable customer for us. So in this case, let's put out a simple formula. So in a simple form, you can calculate your CLTV by taking your average order value, then you multiply it with your average customer's purchase frequency, right? And then divide by the number of your average customer lifetime. Like how long is the customer going to stay with you? So let's say, moving away from our previous example, let's say if you're a kitchenware online store that specializes in high-end cutlery, and right now your average order value is 150 and your purchase frequency is twice every year, right? On top of that, your average customer lifetime is 3 years. Now, if I plug all of that information in this formula, right? So it is 150 into 2 into 3. So overall, whatever you get, it's a pretty good number for a niche store that likely counts one-time purchase as a large part of its revenue. Now, of course, there are variations on this formula depending on how in depth we want to get, and that is something that we'll cover in our boot camps. But at a high level, using this calculation will set you up for your LTV success. So let's come back to our example. So a marathon runner who regularly buys shoes from your shoe store might be worth, so what I've said is 100 per pair of shoes that he purchases into into 3 pairs that he purchases in a year. And the probability is that he's going to stay with you for 8 years. So the LTV for marathon runner comes out to be $2,400. And the mom of a toddler might be worth 20 into 10 into 3, which is $600. So who should you be paying more attention to? Clearly, the adult runners in your database. Right now, I want to close it off. I know we want to have some time for questions. I'll quickly wrap it up by talking about what is the future of marketing technology. So I know I placed a robot here, so it might seem a bit confusing. But what I want to say is when the world saw Tony Stark, so if you remember Iron Man, fiddle with the idea of a bodiless voice as his lab assistant. Now, many rejected that concept, calling it too far-fetched and delusional. And then we all know Jarvis changed that entire equation. So if we talk about popular culture alone, machines and their ability to evolve over time with machine learning and forecasting have been demonstrated in all forms of media. Robots and computers have long been able to perform routine physical work activities better and more economically than humans. But with machine learning, they are increasingly capable of performing tasks requiring cognitive judgment. So AI or artificial intelligence isn't just an abstract idea anymore. It's already being used every day by millions of consumers. Netflix uses AI and machine learning to make sure users around the world get the best viewing experience. And your voice assistants like Alexa or Google Assistant can do pretty much anything for you. Now, digital technology has been expanding at a rapid pace. AI is at the forefront of it, boasting impressive tracking and analytics capabilities, which helps marketers make smarter decisions, drive more revenue, and increase customer acquisition. Advances in machine learning, or as we popularly call it, ML, have been equally important to marketers and advertisers alike. Now, another impressive and still growing technological breakthrough has been in augmented reality. Now, this technology, it combines digital information with a physical environment in real time. So I would suggest you guys check it out, like different videos around it on how AR is being used in marketing. So in the world of digital marketing, recent advances in AR have opened the door to completely unique, customized shopping experience for consumers. Whether it's enabling shoppers to view furniture in their homes or allowing them to try clothes in a virtual dressing room, AR is yet another opportunity for brands to differentiate themselves from the competition. Automation is another game-changing technology for marketers, allowing them to efficiently optimize their time by automating tasks that used to require manual effort. Marketers can trigger personalized emails when customers make a purchase. They can, or when they abandon a cart, interact with the brand on social media, uh, or anything else through automation. Like taking my own example, I remember when we started out, we started off with something wherein we used to send out these mass emails, mass newsletters, and then we started accessing data, and then we became a bit more personalized. But then again, we had to pull out data, filter out that list, and then send those targeted communications to only those customers. From there on, we moved to an era wherein we started personalizing the content for these people, and now we have reached a stage wherein automation essentially takes care of most of the things. Now, you don't need me to say that 2020 was an atypical year that disrupted businesses in such a way that it's hard to anticipate all of its consequences. It's safe to say that virtually all activities will change in some way or the other, and marketing is hardly the exception here. So, trying to foresee how its future will look like feels like a guessing game. However, there are certain trends that we are sure will play a major role in marketing and advertising for years to come, and I'm going to talk about them in the next slide. So, since the pandemic has pushed all industries towards digital acceleration process, it's then safe to assume that marketers everywhere will increasingly adopt new technologies to meet these new demands in the post-pandemic world. Now, as technology advances, so do consumer expectations. Shoppers have an overwhelming amount of information at their fingertips, and brands needs to understand and implement these strategies that will allow them to stand out and connect with these digital savvy customers or their target customers. Right. So I've listed a few ways to show how this automation on AI pumps your digital marketing strategy effortlessly. So I'll start off with personalized experience. Now, personalization is favorite part of every customer. They always love to receive customized messages or offers from their regular brands. And treating customers like a king is a motive of almost every industry around us. To make this happen, you need to have lots of customer data as well as invest some time or some amount in AI technology. AI works perfectly in getting. Can I request you guys go on mute, please?
Yes,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Sorry about that, Ishan. I muted it.
No worries. AI. So I was just saying, like, sorry, that AI works perfectly in getting most out of the given data. It intelligently understands customers' behavior pattern and customizes the content for every customer. So Integrating AI in digital marketing will provide a personalized touch to all your businesses. Second, I want to touch is on the real-time response, and this is what I have an example here. The customers or prospects always go for the service whose response rates are higher and solve their problem quickly. Now, AI or automation helps in achieving this with the help of well-built bots. The AI chatbots enhance the user experience with quick and reliable responses. Few chatbots also come with sensory abilities such as voice and touch. These features will make customers more engaging as it is similar to speaking to a real person. Next comes a predictive marketing. Now, it is essential for every brand to reach the right target at the right time. And the artificial intelligence tool will help you in this scenario with its prediction algorithm. It learns from the previous user's data and predict future marketing pattern effortlessly. So using this information, marketers can optimize their services for a better outcome. I'll give you an example here. So I know Sudhanshu mentioned that I was working with firms like Tesco and all that. So while working with Tesco, I was a part of marketing analytics team, wherein using data, we were able to predict the purchase patterns of different customers and what would they like to buy after a certain point of time. And I think one of the most I think successful campaign I would say would be a scene or a case wherein we unknowingly were able to identify our CEO's preferences, and we were able to suggest him the right kind of products that he would usually buy around those times. And then he called out our team, like asking like, which is this marketing team who exactly knows like what I'm going to do. So I think that was one of the shining lights in my career at that time. So I think, yeah, so since then, I mean, that has been 4 or 5 years, but still a lot of development has taken place in this predictive marketing space. Next is the improved ROI. Now, the high level image recognition capability of artificial intelligence has paved the way for higher ROI and in return, higher company revenue. The algorithms utilize machine learning approach to study users' behavior pattern and creates a customized campaign for the targeted audience. The usage of AI makes your organization more data driven, which in turn helps provide a personal touch to all your services. Right? When you do all this, it will effectively improve the campaign performance and ROI tremendously. Coming on to boosting search sessions. Now, the advancement in technology made the users smarter than ever before. So they search for various tools and applications to buy products or receive quality customer services. Therefore, to keep up with the race, one needs to implement AI-enabled marketing strategy in your organizations. They can use automation or artificial intelligence to study users' search pattern and optimize their content. So also you must not forget voice search in your strategy. So the usage of Apple's Siri, Amazon Alexa, and Google Assistant has reached a peak in 2020. So going forward, I would say I can see this as a trend wherein the voice search would also have an important role to play when it comes to marketing. And finally, with all these efforts, it ultimately helps your advertising. Now, advertising is an essential tool, right, used by all by marketers to promote their products. So these marketers can utilize AI by reducing most of the manual work. The customer's data, the customer's data can be used to provide personalized ads. The artificial intelligence tool analyzes all the users' data to predict their interest. Based on this, businesses can create advertisements that match customer preferences. So what I'm trying to say is these optimized ads will increase customer base and will make you look smarter in the marketing universe. Now, if I have to summarize today's session, what I can say is that the integration of artificial intelligence or automation in businesses will never remove the human essence from marketing. I know I get this question a lot, like what would humans be doing in case everything is being automated? What I tell them is that it will only make the jobs more comfortable and thereby save a lot of time and money. The AI powered tools will produce accurate and reliable result which you can rely on. So list of list all the problems faced by organization and see how AI can help you. It is a promising technology which helps in executing your business plans effortlessly. It holds real potential in the digital market. It acts as a connector between the prospects and business. The well-structured procedures of AI help the organization to know its customers well, right? So besides, the customers will also know about the product and services better because you're personalizing it for them. So in the end, it is a win-win for both the parties. So the above said, so whatever I mentioned here, like all these impacts of AI on digital marketing, I don't think they'll ever remain stagnant. The technology is advancing in a neck break speed. The usage of AI in marketing strategies will continue to evolve. Therefore, if I have to give you one advice, I would say that marketers need to keep up with this race so that you're always ahead in the competition. Now, time for Q&A. I know I brushed through a lot of concepts. I touched them at an overview level, but the reason I just wanted to give you a glimpse of everything that we're going to cover in the boot camps later, wherein we would dive into these topics into much more detail. Back to you, Sudhanshu. Like I would request if you have any questions, I can take up those questions now, and
Yes.
I'll also stop
For
sharing
the
my screen.
questions have thanks, Ishan. First of all, thank you so much for that session. So Arjun, he has the first comment that has come from him is that thank you, Ishan sir, for this excellent session and insights. I'm an engineer who is interested in getting into marketing and analytics. He has done courses to be strong in the fundamentals of digital marketing, but how do I logically formulate a career to get into marketing and analytics?
So,
And
Arjun, what kind of courses have you done?
so Arjun, you can you can unmute yourself and you can possibly answer that.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hi Arjun, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, sir. How are you?
Good, yeah.
Yeah. I've done a couple of courses on fundamentals of digital marketing,
Hmm.
and I'm doing separate courses, for stuff like Facebook Manager and stuff like that. So I'm learning stuff individually as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that is where I'm at right now. So I've also done an internship at a digital marketing startup as well.
Great.
So yeah, so my question was mainly like, how do we formulate like a career path, to like logically like get into the next step and then the next further steps after that.
So I think you're already on the right path in the sense that you have done certain courses yourself.
Hmm.
So talk me more about the internship. That what exactly is the role there?
So there, my role was mainly to be a social media manager.
Hmm.
So what I learned from that experience was mainly running ad campaigns and marketing campaigns. And so my insights and all were mainly handling socials. That was my role there. So I'm learning about the other stuff which I didn't learn there, like for example SEO, uh,
Hmm.
copywriting, content writing, stuff like that.
Hmm.
So I'm
Hmm.
currently learning stuff like that. But yeah, that was my experience from the internship.
Got it. And are you done with that internship? Like, what are you doing currently?
Yeah, I'm actually just got done with an internship, so I'm currently up. Hello,
No,
hello.
go on, go
Please,
on. I think
please go ahead.
someone.
Yeah, actually, I'm in the last week of that internship, so it's gonna get over in a week. So yeah,
Got it.
yeah.
Cool. Any chances of converting it to full time, or you're still that's still in internship?
I have the offer from them, but I'm not sure, so I'm kind of undecided about that. So yeah, that's
Why is that?
yeah, because I'm not sure I can really grow in this startup. So it's quite unorganized at the moment. So I would like to, step it up from here. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's the best way to put it. Yeah,
Got it.
yeah.
See, startups are supposed to be unorganized. I mean, if they're not unorganized, they cannot be called a startup. But yeah, in terms of how do you plan your career, I would say go and understand these different marketing channels,
Okay.
be it SEO, Facebook. I know a lot of you mentioned social, but trust me, social is not the only channel
Mhm.
in digital marketing. There are much more popular marketing channels than social, be it the SEM or video side of things, be it YouTube or other short video platforms. So I would say study all of them. There are free courses available around getting the basics right, and then of course if you join Antwork boot camps, they'll help you in getting into more details of it. Study, read through them, look out for the kind of job opportunities that you want to take up. For example, visit different job portals, try to understand if the kind of skills that they're asking for, do you have those kind of skills or not. Now, seeing that you are a fresher, I think it shouldn't be that difficult for you to join at an executive level in these digital marketing agencies or on the client side who runs these digital marketing in-house. So I think that would be a good start, wherein you get to execute stuff, because if you keep doing these certifications, you keep doing this theory, you might not land where you want to unless you have that implementation experience. So get some experience, even if let's say you're not interested in pursuing this internship opportunity further, look out for more internships in other areas, get some hands-on experience, do these different certifications, which helps you not only clear your theoretical concepts, but also the implementation side of things, and gives you some hands-on experience. At the same time, in parallel, do a research on the kind of roles available, and I think you should be pretty sorted in the kind of career that you want to land in.
Thank you, sir.
I know it's a long answer,
Yeah,
but then there are, but I want to stress on, like, because the digital marketing field is ever evolving, like I mentioned. The things that are relevant today might not be relevant, let's say, 2 years or 3 years down the line. So keep
Yes, sir.
studying, keep working. The more you work, the more experience you get. It would be my
So hi everyone, this is Joy here, founder of Antwork. First of all, thanks to Ishan and everyone participating today. It's very insightful, Ishan. Thanks once again.
Thanks, Joy.
Couple of things I wanted to just add to answer that question, that when we thought of coming together at Antwork, as you see on the screen, it was always an experiential learning movement rather than anything else. A few months back, many of us came together to say, what's the best way to learn and how do we help young professionals accelerate their career? To further add to what Ishan said, there are 3 parts to anyone's career acceleration, right? One is core knowledge. Second is about, getting your hands dirty. And third, which is kind of neglected, but very, very important, is ensuring that you have a focus on holistic growth using your soft skills as well, right? And when we started to design this particular program at Antwork, we had kept all these 3 dimensions in mind, right? So at the digital marketing bootcamp, and I see someone has already asked that question as well on the chat. And this digital marketing program, which is 16 weeks long, not only you will be doing over 100 hours of live classes from senior professionals like Ishan, you will also get to do projects on every single competency island, right? If you can just scroll down, someone, Shiranshu, I'll just show them what are the different islands we have. And on each of those competencies, just close the week 1 to 2. Yeah, so these are different competencies that you will learn, right? From market research to content marketing to SEO to social media marketing, paid marketing. Ishan was today talking about marketing analytics, technology and automation, customer journey analytics, email and news marketing, newsletter marketing, digital marketing measurement, digital marketing strategy, next generation marketing techniques, which Ishan covered towards the end, and deep focus on soft skills and interview prep. In each of these competency island, our experts are also throwing in what we call not just projects, but in some sense, apprenticeship challenge, because these mini projects are designed based on their own experience that they are doing in the industry. And when you complete these projects, for people who really seriously do it during the course of the boot camp, they will be evaluated by the expert, and you can put a link on your CV saying that, hey, this is what I did during this particular boot camp, and this is what I executed, and this is what I learned from it, right? So that's the second aspect that we are helping, not just a knowledge, but getting hands-on on 10 plus projects designed by industry experts, which you can then backlink to your CV. the third important thing which Sudhanshu owns at Antwork, who was the host for today's session, is around the horizontal content, or we call it soft skills. There you will learn about communication, emotional well-being, and one particular session that I myself will take. I come from ISB and McKinsey background on problem solving. Each of these concepts that Ishan talked about, customer lifetime value, churn, etc. How do you take real scenarios and do problem solving around that? How does a McKinsey guy even comes to a organization? How do you even say on day one that is your digital marketing doing good, bad? What can you improve? We are going to discuss some of those concepts. So in summary, the whole idea is that as we build this experiential learning movement, we are going to help our learners, and it's more a passion than anything else, right? At the end of the day, across knowledge, across projects that help you to build your CV, and across soft skills that help you to be prepared for your next best interview.
In fact, if I can add something, Joy, I really like the way you called out the soft skills aspect, because I think that is very important. I've seen a lot of professionals in my industry who are very good in their core technical stuff, in running those digital marketing and doing the analysis, but they struggle when they had to present those analysis to, let's say, a leadership or someone senior. You can't be talking technical terms with those guys. So it essentially becomes very critical on how do you analyze a problem, how do you translate what you've done into a customer friendly language, or a sales friendly language, or a leadership friendly language. Like I know I've had experiences wherein one of my analysts did a great job, and when he presented to a customer, he wasn't even able to explain what machine learning actually is. And the customer said, like, what exactly is a machine learning? Like, is it someone doing something on a machine in a room? So that has been the kind of situations I've been in. So I would say, when you're preparing for all this, also focus on soft skills apart from these core analytical or digital skills.
Absolutely, Ishan. So see, people like Ishan, me, we have taken multiple interviews, right? I have interviewed close to 500 people in my over 1.5 decades, right? And across the globe. And I think the 60-70% of any interview is decided when you answer that first question, tell me something about yourself, right? And I'm sure Ishan will second that as well. So definitely we want to focus on that. And not only the overall curriculum that you will learn from experts, you will also learn a lot from each other, because we are bringing a diverse cohort of people together in this program, where there is a lot for us to learn from you and you to learn from each other as well as we carry on with this program. This program is going to start in May, sometimes towards mid of May. The registrations have already started because we want to be quite selective in terms of whom do we take in the first program. And hence, please go to the link that Shriram sent today on the group and apply. And thereafter, one of our counselor will talk to you, understand your entire background, etc. And from there, we can evaluate your application and quickly take it up. Any questions, etc. for Ishan or me?
Yeah. So there are questions. So Arunima has, I think the first question she had sent was, do you know of any platform where you could do stimulated practice? I'm very sure there would be some outside, some stimulated platforms which we can possibly ping to you if you can connect to us separately. But as part of a boot camp, on all the projects that you get, and you will get hands-on exercises, the simulation exercises, the marketing, so paid marketing, you'll get an actual hands-on of driving a paid marketing, how to devise a strategy, possibly how to create a so all these simulation exercises will be part of the boot camp as well. And there's one question that is for Ishan, is that what is the marketing strategy should be implemented if my company is a startup which has a lack of recognition and there is a lot of competition as well? So what kind of a strategy can somebody use, Ishan?
I think it's quite a broad question, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like asking a marketing strategy for a startup, it depends on your goal. Like, is your goal driving conversions for now, or do you have enough budget to spread awareness for your campaign, or like, is the goal creating awareness about your company? So I think it all depends on that. So for example, if you remember a giant like Spotify when they were entering in India, I think their whole strategy was that how should people be aware of their brand. So they created a lot of awareness campaigns that time. So anytime you were searching for online music or free online music, you would always see their ads. But that is when they had enough budget to spend around, right? Whereas I'm not sure what your situation exactly is. So I think based on that, we'll have to develop a particular strategy. So it's like I said, it's a very broad question, would depends on case to case. But first of all, you need to identify what your objective is, and then accordingly decide what channels you're going to take, which marketing campaigns would make more sense for you, and then we go back and figure out the strategy.
So, guys, we are towards the end of the time. I would like to thank Ishan for this wonderful session, for taking the questions. Thanks to Joy for enlightening the team about the bootcamp. I have shared the bootcamp link on the chat session. These video will be available. Just this was Sahib. Sahib, I asked your question. The question related to marketing strategy was your question. Is so yeah, and. So I have shared the bootcamp link. You guys can go there. Even on the events page, we will update this video later for you guys to benefit from. And I would look forward to you joining us on the bootcamp. And again, we have a session coming on Saturday. We have two sessions on digital marketing happening every week. So if you go to our Antwerp events page, you go to the Antwerp's website, you can register for more such events coming up. So thank you everybody who has joined. Thank you for people who asked questions. I hope it is as informational as Ishan made it to be. I was really enlightened with whatever he has shared.
Thank you, everyone. I hope it was helpful. Yeah, have a good evening.
Yeah. So certificate for the today's webinar. We'll connect with you, Sahib. It can be done. It shouldn't be a problem. So thank you, everybody.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.